Hey there, you beautiful badass. Welcome to the Carrie Croft Show. I'm your host, Carrie Croft, delivering you stories that get you pumped up and feeling like the unstoppable savage that you are. So grab your coffee, put on your game face, and let's do this thing, baby. Ready to elevate your self-care game? Boss Gal Beauty Bar is a modern med spa offering everything from cosmetic injectables, lasers and microneedling, to medical-grade facials and skincare. Conveniently located in Clintonville, Grandview, Powell, and Easton, making self-care a priority has never been easier. Use code CROFT for $25 off your first visit. Let's get real here. Aging isn't always cute. Wrinkles, things sagging where they didn't before, do I hate my partner or is this perimenopause? I've been there, and that's why I'm all about Donaldson. From plastic surgery to aesthetics to functional medicine, they help you love your body and get to know it better. Want to feel like yourself again? Head to donaldsonhealth.com. And if you're a first-time client, mention the Carrie Croft Show for $100 off your first treatment. You're welcome. So what'd you bring me? I see a bag.
You've been chatting about the one and only Jim Tressel.
My man, Tressy.
I've brought you a little something, maybe a little manifestation, because I also love Jim Tressel. So this is a fired up Jim Tressel. This is the Carrie Croft Jim Tressel. In the moment, firing on all cylinders in the sweater vest. And then this is a Buckeye necklace to go with it that my son made.
Yes.
This is 2025 energy right here.
Lindsay Remley. Welcome to the Carrie Croft Show.
Thank you for having me.
Alas, here you are.
I know.
You know, you sent me a little DM and it says, I think I'm ready to come on the show. And I was like, well, I think I'm ready to have you.
Oh my gosh. I've been like a ball of anxiety. And so like, I have been listening to your show from the very beginning. And I think I shared with you a little bit ago, I bet I've listened to 90% of your podcasts. And so many people I know and love and respect and have been on. And I just kept being like, I don't know if there's something like remarkable or special about me or like what I have to offer. And I just kept listening to all these great stories. And then, I don't know, like my ball of anxiety is unwinding. I just was like, I guess I'm ready.
You know, sometimes you just got to put that ball on the tee.
I know.
And just square up and just hit it.
I know.
You know, and of course, I'm sure it's not going to take a lot of digging for me, digging in the crates to figure out something remarkable and special about you.
Or weird.
First of all, you look like you could be related to the one T. Lee.
Oh, God.
Tracy Showalter. You are like.
You think we look alike, or is it because we have this weird...
Okay, you remind me of her because you guys are both minimal and the whole Amazon, what's the word?
I use the word Amazonification.
Of the world.
Yeah.
Which I don't disagree with. And you are the same with like 99% of the moms are like shaming her about like Christmas and birthday. And like, you're like, no girl, same, which we'll get into. But you look like her, and I'm going to do a poll to see if people think you guys could be cousins.
Side by side.
Well, thank you for, taking the step and coming in.
Oh, you just gotta jump.
So here's how I know you. You guys made my dining room table, first of all. I knew you before that. You made like some stuff for my previous business.
Yes.
And I've always known you guys are extraordinarily talented.
Oh my God, you're very kind.
And I knew you were like a husband and wife duo.
We're gonna break it all down.
So you're a mom of 3 boys.
Dylan is a girl.
Oh, Dylan's a girl.
I know.
See,
all the time.
My daughter's named Kyle.
Yeah.
So I totally love that.
Yes.
You have a girl
but
named
people
Dylan.
Probably always are like,
I like you even more. That's such a great name for a girl.
Yes. Her name is Dylan Ray.
So how did you decide Dylan?
Okay, so she's our middle. So our oldest name is Jackson, and we picked that name before it became the most popular name of the entire year. And so when we were looking for a name for Dylan, we wanted something like unique. And so I was just like, I want a name that seems like normal and easy to spell and like someone's not going to mispronounce it, but that still is a little different.
You were in corporate America first.
I was.
And did you enjoy that?
No.
So you hated that?
Yeah.
But you probably learned a lot from it.
Actually, I would say my first job out of college, I worked for a big retailer. We won't name names. And I worked there when they had sort of figured out that like retail and clothing and all that, like they were no longer just like a pharmacy, and they were growing their apparel and all of that in the women's category. And so they decided they were going to expand to like kids and men's. And so I got put into that category, and it was hyper competitive and real crazy. And I worked for a woman who to this day I think is the devil. And I think more than anything, it taught me what I didn't want to be in a leader or a manager or a coworker. And so I am very grateful for that experience because it was very formative, although painful.
What was it about her that was the worst?
She was like, you could just tell, like, she was the leader of a team and she had no interest in the team doing well. She had interest in herself doing well and making sure that everyone around her looked bad so she looked good. And so it was a blessing, right? Like, hard things are oftentimes, once you can like reflect on it. Yeah.
Right. And you were like in the makeup space too, right?
So then I was like, oh shit, I better like get a job. I've got a mortgage and I'm trying to be an adult. And so a coworker of mine there at that place was working part-time as a makeup artist. And she's like, we need a makeup artist. And so I got a full-time job as a makeup artist, just like in the meantime, while I like figured myself out, and then did that I went to Nordstrom, and I was at Nordstrom for 2006, like 6 years. And I did a lot of different things. And then I like started my own makeup artistry business. In fact, I saw you getting your makeup done with Angie the other day. And she and I used to work together quite a bit. I love her. And so I had a freelance makeup artistry business, which was like sort of the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey. I loved that job. I learned a lot. And I think the thing I liked the most about it was like, it's a very intimate experience, right? You're like breathing on each other and very close to each other. And I had so many interesting conversations with people, which actually weirdly is kind of like what you're doing here. And just got to hear people's like stories. And the thing I liked most about it was like getting to talk to interesting people that you never would have met otherwise. And you see people at their best, like on their happiest day with all the people they love around them. And it sounds like so cliche and like, rose-colored glass, but it really, like, you just saw people at their best. It was like a happy, lovely, wonderful experience.
So fast forward to today, and you and your hubby, Alex, you guys are a household name in Columbus, and probably, I mean, beyond at this point. Oh my gosh. You're the CEO.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, you are. That's right, Alex. That's right, Chief Operating Officer. Your wife is the CEO of Edgework. From afar, to me, it's like you're just like brilliant with any kind of carpentry design. I know you've also parlayed outside of just doing like a table for a house. Like you do commercial stuff. You do all kinds of things.
We just say yes.
You just say yes.
Yeah, we just say yes.
Well, that's why you went from a garage to now like a 13,000 square foot space in Grandview.
27,000
now. When was the idea, like when were you like, holy shit, we're actually going to like take this step and do like a husband and wife like thing here?
I will never forget, like I can remember where I was sitting on the table, like what I was wearing. He came home from his job and it had been his last day. And we were like all in, and I had brownies because he loves brownies on the table and champagne. And we were like, I guess we're doing this. Hope it works out. Oh. I don't know. We just like wake up and you just like make the next best decision. And then I don't think we ever really had plans to grow to the size we are. I don't think if you had told us when we started that we would have 24 team members and be in an almost 30,000 square foot space and be building and shipping things all over the country and traveling, like I would never be able, but I think when you give something space and energy, and you have, as my girlfriend said, because you asked me, like, what would your friends say about you? And I was like texting my two best friends and I was like, ladies, I need help. And my girlfriend, well, she wrote back a whole bunch of texts. And I was like, ladies, you are the best. You're going to make me cry. But she said dogged determination was the first thing on the text messages she had. And my husband has a work ethic I have never seen in a human being before. So I just think it is just grinding and going and building and, you know, fucking up and learning the lesson and doing better next time and never quitting. It will take a piece of your soul.
It will, but it also grows. It grows you into things that you never would have thought to. And I think it's another conversation and lesson about failure and this F word, right? It's a failure. It's once you figure out it's inevitable and it's a part of the process, and you almost see it as like this, albeit beautiful part of the process, because you can't do anything without it.
Yeah, you can't get better unless you learn what you didn't do well.
No.
Or like,
So instead of saying fail, it's like more like we iterate, we tweak,
learn the lesson,
we polish, keep moving forward. And like with dogged determination and a work ethic, I feel like those are two like superpowers. How has it complicated the relationship?
I think the hardest thing is, you know, like you have a bad day at work or you're going through a hard time, or, you know, we've had like growing pains recently because it's just been a wild ride. I think what's really hard is when there's hard day or hard times or hard decisions that have to be made. And then you have to like come home and be a parent and just like, one of us didn't go to work and have a good day, and one of us have a bad day. Like, it's all wrapped up, and you can't like separate it. And I don't think there's really any like balance or separation. There is integration, and you know, Randy Gerber talks about that. He was one of our like business mentors and stuff like that. And it's so true. Like, you're just so intertwined with the business and your life. So I think that what's complicated it is like trying to find a way to like transition home and like be mom and dad, or like try your damnedest to leave the stress or the worry or the whatever at the door and be like present and happy. And that wore on me a lot last year, and I like cracked. But I think we're like learning, and we're at least right now in a season where it's a lot easier. Like, we have better work-life boundaries. We're working less at home. And so I think that's like the hardest part of working with your spouse, is just that like transition.
When you say you cracked, what happened?
You know, I'm still like processing it all, I would say. And I wouldn't say I've totally reflected and like learned everything, but right now I'm feeling like I have just been like an achiever and a doer. I'm an oldest daughter. I was a competitive athlete. Like, I've just been like going and grinding and like holding it all together. And we had like hard things happen in a lot of places in our life, like in the business with growing pains, at home with our kids. And I was just like holding it all together. Everything was overwhelming. Everything was hard. I was having not even imposter syndrome, but like doubting all of my instincts. And I just, for the first part of the year, I was trying to like just pretend it wasn't happening, or like just keep going, you know, just got to keep powering through. And at some point in the year, I just decided like, I'm just going to feel my feelings, and I'm going to be like broken and a mess, and like figure out what the next thing is. And I think I just needed to like not be the one that had it all together, and like let it go and take the pressure off of all of that. And I think I'm coming back to life, which is maybe why I was like, I think I'm ready to come.
Yeah. Oh, I felt that when you wrote that. I felt like you were kind of like peeking your head out a little bit. Like, I think I'm ready.
I'm coming back to life a bit. And like, you know, you survive things and you get better, and like, things just feel a little bit more in control. Like, for a while, I just felt like really out of control and a ball of anxiety and doubting that I know how to or can navigate all that life has for you. And
do you identify as a perfectionist?
I don't identify as a perfectionist, but I'm like, I just keep coming back to the word like achiever. And that was like one of the things that really, I was actually on the phone with my uncle he like became this like sounding board for me where he would like call and check on me, and I would just like walk out in the parking lot and cry on the phone. And it was like during a conversation, I was just like, I've just always been like successful, and I'm feeling like I'm not successful right now. And that's like a weird, uncomfortable, unfamiliar feeling. And I feel like there's so much on the line for like my kids and my business, and I'm like letting everyone down. And then as soon as I like let go of that and was able to like name the thing, I was able to like move forward. I also got medicated, which helps. And, like,
Which always helps. Right?
Medication, therapy, you know, all of those things, like just letting it go and like taking the pressure off of like trying to be everything to everyone and hold
Are you
it
a
all
pleaser?
together. I think I was at one point, but you know, like 3-4 years ago, I got like real protective and like put up some like big boundaries. And it wasn't about like pleasing, but I think I know that I like walk into a room and can feel people's energy, and like that is exhausting in its own. And so like I will walk into a room and be like, that person's having a bad day. This person is very focused. This person was just talking about me, you know, or like whatever. Like I can just like walk in, and my husband's always like, you're so paranoid. And then 3 months later, I'm like, I told you so.
Right. Now you're like a sponge.
And like last year when I was like doubting my instincts, I'm like, no. My instincts my like intuition and instincts have always been so strong. And so like that
Same
is
girl.
exhausting. Like carrying everyone's, like, why are they upset? What happened?
You an empath?
Yes, I think so. That's like the big part of it.
What's Alex's demeanor?
He's like steady Eddie.
Is he super chill?
Yes.
Which is probably good for you.
I have like twice in my life heard him like raise his voice. And one time it was because somebody closed the garage door in his truck at the shop.
What's the best part of working together?
I trust no one like I trust him. I think like the ability to know that and to see up close that he is giving everything to the business and our family and everything. And I trust all decisions he makes because I know he's making them with the best of intentions, and I think he's like really smart.
What kind of medication are you on?
Can I have some of that? I take like a daily med, and then I have Xanax for like the shakes. I was so stressed and wound up and overwhelmed. I was like having like chest pains and feeling like physically ill. I lost like 20 pounds. Yeah. And so it has helped me just like be able to like function in a productive way. I was like so wound up and overwhelmed with everything in my life that I couldn't like participate the way I wanted to participate. So I definitely am still anxious. I.e. I was here 20 minutes early because I was like, my toxic trait is that
Yeah, but I'm into that. Going back to like when you and Alex come home and you put your like
parenting pants on.
Well, let's call it your like chainsaws, where the fuck you guys use. You put your like tools down. How do you hold each other accountable? Because it is really hard. Like, so my brain is like your brain and Alex's brain, like entrepreneur, it's always on. You really have to carve out space and put it aside. Otherwise it'll take over everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then my husband is completely opposite. So I'm naturally like pulled into that when I get home. But you got two of you that are like probably wanting to continue to have the conversation about X, Y, and Z. And now you got 3 kids who are clearly more important than anything.
Right.
How do you like hold each other accountable, or how do you stop that train and really soak it all in with the kids?
Do you want to know what it is? It's so simple. A Post-it note. I have a Post-it note in my calendar that is like miscellaneous things I need to talk to him about, or like things that happen, and like I got to share that, or we need to dig into that more, or I need to follow up on this. And I like write it all on a Post-it note. And then when we actually have time, so it's not like coming home from work on Tuesday and being like, oh my God, we got to talk about this thing. Like I just write it on the Post-it note. And then when there's like the right time, like we're either in the right headspace, we have the, kids are outside playing, or we start talking about something else work related, I will like literally get out my Post-it note and be like, because it's hard. And like fortunately, unfortunately, our kids are living the entrepreneurial life and grind, and they're at really important ages. I mean, all ages are important, but we have a 15-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 10-year-old, and we have a high schooler, and like the moments are fleeting. Like I'm like 3 more Christmases, 4 more spring breaks, like those sorts of things. When you start counting down like that, you're like, oh my gosh, and just wanting to be like really present, and they have felt a lot of the lifestyle that comes with entrepreneurs. Like we have so many conversations. It always seems to be in the car, where one of the kids, generally I feel like our youngest, because he's like, you want to talk about an empath, like his heart lives outside his body. Crazy. He's like, yeah, he's like snuggly and affectionate, and he wants to like hold your hand, and he needs to be tucked in 10 times, and he tells you he loves you all the time, like just break your heart. But he in particular will be like, I don't want dad to work late tonight, or I don't want dad to be out of town this weekend, or whatever. And I just tell them, like, your dad works really hard. I mean, we all work really hard, but like when they're complaining about him, and we have a really great life, and you're really lucky, and this, like, it won't always be like this, but this week it requires this. But then next week, we're going on vacation, and he'll be around all the time, or whatever. And so trying to be like, stop the work talk at the dinner table and be like, what was cool about your day? Tell me about choir practice. How was rehearsal? Like all of those sorts of things, and be really present. We really do have dinner together like most nights, and talk about our day. And we've gotten a lot better about like not basically working from the time we get home until after they go to bed. If we got to work more, that's fine, but it's after they go to bed.
It's an incredible gear shift. Oof. Parenting is the hardest. It truly, I mean, I don't care what kind of entrepreneur or what you're growing, that's hard, but parenting taps into a different kind. And you know what? A lot of times when you are a great entrepreneur, or you are great on the business side, it kind of like shines a light even more on the atrophy over here, because you're like, oh shit, like I got 2 left feet on this side.
Yeah.
I mean, it is wild.
Yeah. So you end up like, if you have like a sick kid, or a kid going through crisis, or whatever, like that, the intensity of that experience is so much, and requires, and parenting will make you doubt everything and everything you thought you knew about yourself or the world or whatever.
So you guys grew into, you have 24 people now. One of the people that first started with you committed suicide.
Yes.
And I remember that. Like,
yeah.
It was, can you talk a little more about that?
Hey, Maria Milligan here with RE/MAX Premier Choice. Being a realtor here means being part of a community. I'm more than just a business card. I'm someone you'll see around town. I build trust with my clients because I care about this community and the people in it. Ready to take that next step? Let's do it together. Text me at 614-314-1355.
Who says you need a special occasion to feel like a celeb? I mean, stress is real. Life is busy. And your scalp? Yeah, it deserves some love too. That's where Headspace by Mia Santiago comes in. Treat yourself or someone who deserves it to a luxurious scalp treatment and a killer blowout or cut, because nothing says main character energy, honey, like a fresh style from celebrity stylist Mia and her team. And because we love a good deal, mention the Carrie Croft Show and get 20% off your service or any gift card for somebody in your life that you love. Headspace by Mia Santiago, because great hair days shouldn't be rare.
Yeah, it was horrifying, and like, so everybody was blindsided by it. His wife at the time, our team, us, his friends, everybody. And he was one of the people who gave us the like balls to go for it. He and Alex used to like run into each other. So Alex used to sell wine, wholesale wine, a little bit of a pivot. And Joey was working for Jenny's Ice Creams as like a delivery truck driver. And so they would like run into each other at Lucky's Market or Whole Foods or something, restocking shelves and checking in on their accounts. And they decided to go to lunch one day at O'Reilly's in Clintonville. They're like, we keep running into each other on whatever, Thursdays or something, like, let's just grab lunch. And so they did. And Joey said to Alex, like, and this is when we were just like grinding in our garage. It was just the two of us. And it was like an Instagram account and, you know, not really a thing. And he said to Alex, he's like, I think it's really cool what you're doing. And if you ever decided to grow your team or hire someone, like, I would come work for you. And you're like, whoa. Like, that's like a real pivotal moment in a business when someone like believes in you. And they were, Joey and his wife, Jenny, were very good friends of ours. Jenny and Alex grew up together and are like ride or die, and they still are. We all are. But Joey came and worked for us. He was our first employee. He was the person who got us into like metalwork. We were only doing woodworking, and he was like, would you guys ever consider like doing welding and metalwork and all this stuff? Like, I have a welder in my garage, and I've been like taking this class, I think at like 400 West Rich or something, and I'd be willing to like give it a go. So we literally like hung up a welding curtain in the back of the shop, and we're like, well, that's now the welding shop, like, have at it. And now it's like a huge part of what we do. And he worked for us for 2019, 4 years, a little over 4 years. And you know, he was already a friend beforehand and just became like family. And yeah, he was, nobody saw it coming. He was the like guy always making a joke and the life of the party. And, you know, now you can look back, hindsight's 2020, and he was compensating for all the things he was stressed about and worried about or insecure about. And it was crazy. It was crazy.
Fast forward to today. How do you still? Because I'm sure his memory is everywhere.
Yeah, we have his T-shirt still hanging in the metal shop. We have a really awesome photo of him in his hood, like welding something, framed in the break room. His whiteboard, his hood. We have like a little Joey shrine. His hood hangs with a picture frame of him welding, and then his whiteboard that was like his production schedule with all of his projects and what the due dates were. We lacquered over, and it hangs in our break room. So there's like a whole little area, and like just these little things he would make with metal. Like, my husband still has it on his desk. In fact, I hung it up on his wall. I wonder if, well, he hasn't been back to the office this week, but I hung it up on his wall, and I was like curious if he'll notice it. But yeah, and we have become closer than ever before with Jenny, and she's like family to us. And we had like a really young team at the time too, so like figuring out how to like lead and navigate through that and grieve the loss of like a team member, but like more importantly, a friend. Mm-hmm. And like Jenny is family, and to be there and live that and like sort of unfold over time. I mean, the story is still unfolding, right? Mm-hmm. And just like learning all the things that were going on behind the scenes. Someone you see every day.
But isn't that a testament? You know, that's an up close and just very jarring reality that you can be with somebody all the time and you don't always know what's going on. And it's just another, you know, when you look at our society and social media and how quick people are to jump to conclusions and to judge and to want to just gang up, and this mob mentality, you know, people are fragile.
My kids say I'm obsessed with kindness, and because, you know, they'll like talk about some new friend or like the school year or start the class, new classes or all that. And like one of my first questions is always like about a person, like, well, are they kind? My daughter's like, you are obsessed with that. I'm like, the world's too big to be friends with assholes. And I've told her because, like the middle school mean girl stuff, she's actually avoided it swimmingly. In fact, I've had other moms like compliment her for like navigating it so well. And I remind her like, okay, well, they're nice to you. That's great. Are they nice to everyone? Because if they're an asshole to someone else, they're going to be an asshole to you. And I just think we need more empathy and kindness and grace in the world as a result of it.
Well, thank you for sharing
Wild. Yeah.
And Joey's, memory and story. Switching gears into growth, into excitement. So what are you guys working on that's like lofty, where you're like, I can't believe we're doing this? Or
we have tripled in size in the last 4 years, which is a lot. We spent, like, I would say the last 16, 18 months just sort of like slowing down, getting better at all the things we do so that then we can hit the gas. And I think we're like ready to hit the gas again. So, we have like the most incredible team who's so talented, and we've developed really great relationships with partners who are doing projects like all over the country. So we're working with like some brands that are opening multiple locations and, sending people to Texas and California, and also doing tons and tons and tons of stuff locally. But just like fine tuning what we do and helping people develop and grow in their roles and trusting themselves to like make big decisions and mentor people. So we're like very hopeful and optimistic about like the growth and the relationships we have made. And some of our partners are doing some really cool things. We're delivering a project very soon, TBD on the date, in the coming weeks, maybe in the next 3-6 weeks, that is going for the Guinness Book of World Records for something I don't know if I'm allowed to say, so I'm not going to say, but it'll be on blast on social media if we do it for one of our partners, building the world's largest something.
Really?
Yes. And it is big and it is cool and it's nostalgic. It will remind you of your youth. And that's all I'm going to say. That's like really fun. And they're a partner that helps us like test our own boundaries. They like help push us. They have wild ideas and they know that we are the people that will like say yes to wild ideas. And so it's been a really fun partnership and it's continuing to like deepen and grow. I think that's the other thing about our industry is it just sort of like in the construction world, like everything moves slow, right? Development, construction, renovations, all of those things. And so like it takes a while to like make a relationship even enough to get an opportunity to price something, then let alone win it, then build it and execute on it. And then they're like, oh, we like working with you. Let's do it again. Like that could take 3 years. And so, playing the long game, man. And that was part of what like the last year was about too, was just like, let's just like slow down. Everybody needs to slow down. And we a little bit white knuckled. The pandemic like caused a lot of that, right? It's just white knuckling through life, but like pausing, slowing down, getting systems and processes in place, and then deepening relationships that are like well aligned from like core values and a vision, and like similar to like be nice and don't be friends with assholes. Like I want to do business and work with people. Like what we do is hard. We don't need to have hard relationships too. Like let's do it with people who are awesome and love what they're doing and are like pushing the boundaries and aligned with us. So we have developed quite a few relationships over the last like 2-3 years that we're like starting to see the fruits of that labor, and we're all benefiting from it. It's making their internal processes easier and streamlining things, and we're getting to build cool things and improve and fuck it up the first time and make it better for the 10th, 11th, and 12th time, So I think that's like what we're really excited about for 2025.
What would you say to a baby entrepreneur out there who's like peeking out of the nest?
It will push you to your brink. It will break you, but it will It's also so, so rewarding, but it is the hardest shit. I know you were talking earlier about like parenting is so hard. I a little think running a business is harder than parenting.
I think they're just different. Kind of hard.
I guess it depends on like what your tolerance for, what your pain tolerance is like.
I've just always been, ever since I was like this big, like I had a fake desk. I had to ask for a desk.
I remember you talking about that on a podcast.
I had fake people. I mean, ever since I was in
Yeah, like was it Christmas or something? You got like a desk?
When I was 5, I have a.
You got a
did
computer.
You see the photo?
Yes, I remember it.
So I have like a phone. I mean, this was when I was 5.
Yeah.
A phone, a desk, a little typewriter, and then even up into middle school, I had like a whole room where I would have paper. I had my 2 stepsisters were like worked for me. So I just think my brain naturally loves and goes there. And I love parenting, but I just think again, like parenting's a language I had to learn. Like that's like learning Spanish when you're like in your teens. I was fluent business. That's what I wanted to do. It's just who I was. Yeah. So for me, they are different hard. I mean, business is not for the faint of heart by any means, especially if you want to scale and grow and be successful. But they're different hard.
Yeah.
So I don't disagree with you.
You just have to like experience it because everyone's struggle will be something different depending on like what industry they're in or like what kind of business. Our business is super like operationally heavy and like inventory heavy. And you talk to other people where it's like they're selling widgets, you know what I mean? And we have to have a 30,000 square foot warehouse and 24 people to do what we do. And other people's challenges are like finding the right developer or getting the VC money. And so on those hard days, I'm like, I just have to wake up today and I have to give it my best. And some days that's more than others, 1 foot in front of the other. 1 foot in front of the other. Yeah.
Are you domestic? You strike me though as
So define domestic.
So you said you don't cook.
I don't cook. My home is like my sacred space. I have always been interested in like interiors and design and like curating space. And I think particularly in the last few years, I have like very much leaned into like my home has to be my safe space for my family, for me. And so I am domestic in the sense that like people come to our house and I think the ultimate compliment is when someone walks in and is like, wow, oh my God, it feels so much like you, right? Like it's a reflection of you and your family. And so I'm domestic in that sense. In fact, this weekend we are tearing out our closet and putting in a new closet and I'm painting our bedroom for the 3rd time and we're going to build ourselves a bed at the shop and all these kinds of things. So I'm always like trying new things and I'm domestic that way, but like girl can't cook. Well, I can cook. I just hate it. I'm
so
like,
once a week, what do you guys do for dinner?
We eat simply.
It's basic.
Yeah.
You're a minimalist, right?
I am.
Like T. Lee.
Yeah. Yeah. I have had like a capsule wardrobe for years. I think like before it was a thing, like before it had a name. I don't like stuff gets my nervous system like all wound up, like piles of papers on the counter or, you know, the mom setting stuff on the stairs and 10 people walk by it and don't put it away. Like put your laundry away when it's done. I like things to have a place. I make my bed every day, that kind of stuff. Because I want to feel like my nervous system can like deregulate when I come home and like,
you want to feel lighter.
Take a deep breath. Yeah.
Yeah, but
and
you don't.
All the stuff like.
But you don't do birthday parties and you don't do Christmas gifts. And Alex has always been in line with that, or did you have to like pull him in?
No, it started like maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and we just started doing like experiences for our kids. And I think it really started. Our 3 kids have birthdays. We call it birthday season in our house. The 3 kids have birthdays within 6 weeks of each other.
Same as your twin.
Yeah. Stop.
Oh, her kids are all in the same month.
Did she talk about that on the podcast? I must have.
I don't think so.
Okay. All right.
So I'm pretty sure it's all February.
It's August 27th to October 9th. All 3 kids have their birthdays. Plus it's mine and Alex's anniversary and 2 of our nephews who live in town. So it's like birthday season. We did like a trip. I was like, what if instead of like a birthday party and stuff, we like went somewhere and it can be for everybody's birthday and it'll be a big fun thing. And that was a blast. And the kids did not miss the presents. They didn't care. They don't ask for birthday parties. And then my husband and I that year at Christmas, so that was like in the fall, that year for Christmas, it was like in that weird, like COVID's still a thing, but we all need to get out. And like 2 weeks before Christmas, we just booked an Airbnb out of town. And that was the kids. I literally took the swimming suits out of their closets, wrapped them up in a gift. And that's what they opened on Christmas Day. And they were like, this is my bathing suit. And I was like, you know, we're just sort of like, and they're like, are we going somewhere? We were like, and they're like, are we going to the beach? And I was like, and they're like, when are we going? And I was like, tomorrow. It was a sort of like the Walt Disney World reveal that people do for their kids, but ours was like for a vacation. And so then it just became this thing where like every year for their birthdays, we go on a trip, and every year for Christmas, we do an experience. Like we travel, but not like extravagant. Alex and I also are birthday twins. Our birthdays are 2 days apart. And so like, and it's right around Valentine's Day. So like, it's always like a real buzzkill to like go out to dinner, because it's always like a Valentine's Day prefix dinner, or like too many people or whatever. And so we just have always like not done gifts and done like an experience. We were in Chicago this past weekend, and that was like our birthday celebration. And so it's just sort of become like an ethos of our household. And our kids just like, first of all, our kids don't need more shit. I just don't want to raise kids who are like, I want this. And like everything is in our face in this world. Like the nature of like the internet and the speed of things. And it's just like consumerism, and social media is like always selling you something, or people are like living some lifestyle that you think you need to have or whatever. And I just think we get wrapped up in like what's not, like, it's not the stuff that's important. And like experiences and travel. And our kids to this day are like, I love going places. And they like, we talk about like, what was your favorite trip? And why did you like that? And where do you want to go again? So I'm hoping what we're giving them is like this sense of adventure. There's so much to be learned in traveling too. Like go to a country where you don't speak the language. You're like, I don't know how we're going to get to the hotel, but we're going to figure out. It might be a little bumpy, but it's like building resiliency and interest, and like reminding you that the world is so much bigger than your little bubble.
It's probably easier too to travel like that when they're a little bit
older. Yeah.
You know, I mean, you have great ages right now to be doing that.
Right. And I can remember going to the airport. I think we were going to Colorado to see, my family lives in Colorado, and it was like post-pandemic. So there had been a little bit of time, and our youngest was probably 6 or something like that. And we went through security. And, you know, everybody had their backpack, and like I didn't have a stroller and the diaper bag and all this stuff. And we got through security, and I was like, is that it? Like, that was just easy, you know? And I was like, we need to do this more. Like, I like traveling. I like exploring new places. There's so many places to see in the country and in the world. And I just want to raise kids who have like a bigger mindset and maybe don't have the newest Nike shoes.
Lindsay, this has been lovely.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for gracing me with your presence.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
I think that you have upped the potential of Tressel saying yes to me in 2025.
Do you think, is it like too much to ask that he wear the sweater vest, or is that like pushing the boundaries? Like,
let's just put it out there now. I would not be upset if Jim Tressel showed up in a sweater vest with a clipboard and a whistle. And if you're still out there following your girl, follow me on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. And until next time, Edgework, baby. Edgework all day long. Keep moving. Yeah. I love you, Jim Tressel.